did a video a while back talking about this whole it's a different universe, and you have to always analyze comic book live action depictions, different universe, different universe, different universe. I'm gonna tell you and explain yet again why that is such a stupid argument. First of all, I just want to be transparent here. I'm not a fan of different universes and multiverses concepts, multiversal concepts in comic books. It incentivizes laziness. What makes comic books great is the continuity in this, or this canon rather, in which all of these characters exist when it comes to mainstream comics in the same kind of plane. And what a multiversal aspect does is it allows the writer for a free-for-all, basically, to just take the character and do whatever it is that he wants. And none of those stories ever matter. I know some of y'all like that, Earth 2 crap or elsewhere. I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan of that stuff because it doesn't matter. Like I don't read comics just for a cool story. I read it for a cool story, but in the context of a larger world, which is what it does. It incentivizes creativity, and multiverses actually just say, you know what, screw it. But really what that point comes from is it's people wanting to like something that has happened recently in a live action setting. So whether it be in a TV show or let's say a movie, and they don't want you to say, okay, this isn't necessarily accurate. Now, I will say again, a lot of them operate from a straw man. And that straw man is that everybody that is a comic book fan that is critical of an inaccurate depiction needs for the live action depiction to be exactly verbatim like the comic book. Now, again, even if they did do it, there's nothing bad about that. However, that's not the expectation. And as a nerd to this stuff, I don't know anybody that has that expectation. People think I have that expectation, but again, what they're trying to do is shut the conversation up, right? They're trying to shut the conversation up because they want you to be a consumer to the point to where you have to accept. I saw a comment the other day on my own YouTube, not even joking, said that the comic books should be. Let me see if I can actually find this comment real quick, because you can't search comments. Let me see if I can find this. And it was the most bonehead thing that I had seen. And let me see if I can see it real quick and find it. Where the guy basically said that the comic book should be thrown like to the side, as in they shouldn't even be a thing. It was the most bizarre thing I had seen. Let me see. Let me see if I can find this comment real quick, because I want to show you guys just for the sake of content or context. But the whole point in using a comic book character, here we go. Here it is. Here's the comment right here. It says a movie should be able to stand on its own. The comics in this case should be ignored. And obviously, I said, as you said, I think it's very stupid to say the comics should be ignored when the movie is about a comic book character or about comic book characters. It's so stupid. Like, do you understand how dumb that is? And it's funny because from non-comic book related material, it's okay to follow the books there, right? So when something like that has lore to it, whether it be Lord of the Rings or stuff that is already established, what's that movie? What's that show that everybody, Game of Thrones or something like that, which has some like source material and then it doesn't follow it and then people get mad. That's fine. But the comic book guys do it and we're like, well, it's a different universe. Well, you can't do that. All they're trying to do is shut you up. But it's a bad argument because everybody knows that these characters are coming from the books, and the books came first, right? That was where you got the character's name. You got that from the books. The fact that some people have an expectation that it should be accurate, at least to the sense that the character is the character that we have read, is not a egregious expectation. the straw man that they operate on is that it should be a different, like it's a different universe, and therefore you expect it to be exact. Those different universes in the comic book. I know most of them are stupid, right? And generally speaking, we know there's a main universe in Marvel and a main universe in DC, and those are generally understood to be the characters. The alternate universe stuff is just that. Now, again, I've made my arguments on why they're stupid and incentivizing laziness. But generally, if you're going to bring a character crossing into a live action setting, definitely one that's existed for decades, we already know who that character is. In a main universal setting, we know. All we're expecting from the live action is that it honors that. Doesn't have to be the direct adaptation. It can be a brand new story that we're completely new to. It's what current comic book writers, the one that are worth a damn, there's not a lot of them in mainstream comics, but that's what they do all the time. That's what separates a bad writer from a good one. A good writer can take a story that makes sense for that character. Setting, place, time, experience, everything. And it can be brand new and fresh. Crap writers have to change the character itself to adjust to their standards because they have an inability to operate within the confines that was already set for the character that they didn't create. So it's a different universe. It's such a crap argument. It doesn't make sense when you're grabbing characters that have already existed anyway. It's not a free-for-all, and it shouldn't be treated as a free-for-all. If that was the case, why would you use the character in the first place? Why use them? If it's just going to be a free-for-all, why not name them, I don't know, whatever. Have them act different, have them look different, because at that point it's effectively not, but you're using the name of the character. Why? Because you're trying to capture the fans and the fanatics and the people that have grown up with the character or supported the character in the first place. That's the whole reason you're grabbing them from the comics. So why wouldn't we refer to it in terms of an expectation? You see, again, these people just want to project their consumerism, which is, consumer isn't a bad term. We're all consumers. Everybody consumes something. But some people do it blindly. And when there's a connection, I think a lot of people are offended by it, and I get it. But they're offended by this notion that there are people that know better than them. So in the event that they enjoy something that isn't accurate because they don't have any point of reference, they don't read books. It's like, hey, give them Spider-Man, give them a person swinging around in a web slinging in a red and blue suit, and that's Spider-Man. Doesn't have to act like Peter Parker or anything like that. Hell, look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. To look at that example, which that ain't no Peter Parker, it's Iron Boy. But they don't care. You know, it's like, oh, well, it's him. And if you criticize it, well, it's a different universe, right? It's because they are consumers to the point to where they'll eat up whatever they give them. And they just want to, because they like it or they feel some kind of way, and you feel the opposite or have something issue with it, they're trying to shut down the conversation. See, I talk about, and I use as a prime example, I use like my feelings towards Star Wars all the time. Star Wars, I'm a normie. I'm a complete normie, okay? Everybody knows this. That's why I don't do videos on it. I'm probably, actually, to be fair to myself, I probably know more about it than the normie, than the usual normie. But I'm a normie in itself, and I'm not. But the thing is, and I did a video talking about the separation of what kind of normies. Like a lot of my fan base are normies. They come to me specifically to get that information, and that's awesome. But the arrogant one is the one I have the problem with, where he understands that he doesn't know, yet gets upset at the idea that people do know. So they use these terms, gatekeeping, elitist, all these sorts of terms, which, as I say now, that don't even mean nothing to me. You have no power here. Someone said, oh, look at this ego. He look at this elitist. You don't have no power here. I don't want anybody giving a fuck about what you talking about. Ain't nobody caring about none of that. Nobody care. Nobody tripping off of that. Don't care. Not interested. You have no power here. None. But I'm not an arrogant normie to the point to where I know I don't know. And if I see something, even if I enjoy it from a, like just me looking at a movie or a show, and I'm like, oh, it's just okay. And if someone says, okay, it's okay that you like it, but understand, like, that's not that character. That's some goofy. I accept that. It doesn't offend me, but that offends someone else. So a lot of people don't have, because they don't have that point of reference, they get offended by those that do and take issue with it because they feel like they like it and therefore you should. Because again, when it comes definitely to things like Marvel, which have this like rabid following because of live action stuff, these people are just cows, bro. Like they'll just eat, or pigs rather, eat whatever they give them. Eat whatever. If you've been on pigs eat whatever. You know what I mean? Pigs eat, that's what they are. That's what they remind me of. Well, they just consume it just because it's there. And they don't like the idea that someone else knows more than them. But this is the thing. Whether you like it or not, a lot of these characters do have a point of reference. It is not unrealistic. It is not unjustified. For someone to see that a character is going to be brought in to a larger universe or have a movie done on them, and then they have an expectation as to what that character should be. And if they don't meet that expectation, that's not a problem with the person that has the point of reference. And if you like it, you like it. That's your business. But that's not a problem with the guy that has a point of reference, nor should he feel or she feel obligated to have to disregard their knowledge base or point of reference because it's a live action depiction. Therefore, it's a different universe. It's a different universe is a non-argument. It is not a free-for-all. If it was, don't use the character. Don't use them. Just use another character, fresh IP. If that's the case, don't use them. But that's not what they do. Instead, they use the character that we know about. Therefore, we have an expectation. That expectation doesn't mean it has to be exactly like what happened in the books, though. If it did, you still eat it up. Again, you're a pig. We talked about this. But that's not the expectation. It's more of honoring what already exists. So if we have that expectation because we have that point of reference, and you say this character is coming up, and then that character is not what we expect because, well, it's not the character, that's not our problem. And it's a different universe doesn't mean that, or you saying that rather doesn't mean that we have to then just consume it and take it because it's just not a book. It's a live action. That's stupid. If you don't want people to have a point of reference, don't use the damn character. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.